Welcome everybody to the second episode of Radio ISR. Amongst other things, this episode is going to have an interview with a gentleman who works all the way in Japan. I'm also going to speak to an ISR that has literally delivered a mountain full of cars. And I'm going to conclude what great salespeople do. So now it's time for a little bit of Radio ISR news. And we're going to cover 10 things we didn't know last week. So first off, Buy and Fly is now a permanent program. We all know this is an absolutely brilliant program, and we're all glad, of course, to see it back again. One small change, which is in the favour of the customer. Only a $300 deposit is required as opposed to the previous $500. And of course, just a little reminder, it's only available in Ford and Chrysler stateside stock orders only. Number 2, Dermot Haver sends in his pictures so he can audition for the next Bounty Bar commercial. Number 3, another very interesting bulletin came out about some of our FSG products, and it was entitled Did You Know? And it's bulletin number 10807. And again, I highly recommend that you give this one a read. Number 4, Brian Kramer in Okinawa fancies himself as the next Phil Taylor. Number 5, Anthony Sweeney enjoying his new breakout role as a HD ISR in the KMCC. Apparently word on the street is this guy is going to be an absolute superstar. Number 6, sadly, Ford electric vehicles are no longer available for 2015. This is bulletin 10819, and these vehicles include the Ford Fusion Energy, the Ford C-Max Energy, and the Ford Focus Electric. Number 7, the sewage from a city of 1 million people, believe it or not, contains more than $13 million worth of metal a year. About a fifth of the value comes from silver and gold. So boys and girls, get sifting. Number 8, despite being a one-man show, Nico somehow managed to prospect and take a pic of it at the same time. Well done, Nico. Number 9, anybody looking for a change in career with the MI5, gotta make sure they've got no visible tattoos, because that is a knockout factor. Finally, number 10, women are almost 2/3 more likely to believe in God than men. So now it's time to do our Who's Hot feature, which is basically about finding ISRs who are outperforming right now at the moment, regardless of their years in service. And what I want to do now is I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call a guy named Jeffrey Moat, who works out in Japan at a Marine Air Force base, and he's doing particularly well at the moment. And what I'm going to do is give him a quick call to get his insight to what's going on right now. For those of you who don't really understand the Japanese model and how they do business, they are very different than a lot of our other organizations. And that is because they don't have any local delivery whatsoever. So that basically means is that they have to really wait until try and get to the customer to PCS before they can sell them a car. And we all know that even though some of our customers may understand that we offer a stateside program, they may not truly understand the benefit to them. So that's the biggest challenge that the boys and girls in Japan face. So, without further ado, let's get Jeff on the phone. Jeff, the reason why I'm calling, of course, is I know you're doing a really, really good job in the company right now at the moment, and I wanted to see if you could share with us at home, what your secrets to your success is. I know you're a big believer in the program, so maybe you could elaborate on that for me.
Okay, yes, absolutely. I am a big believer in the program, and I wish I could take credit for what I'm doing, but it's not me. It's the passion that I have inside me, the burning fire that I know this is a great program. This is something that if I were the customer, I would love every aspect of it. Problem is that not everybody knows about the program. So my task in front of me immediately is to let them know what the program offers. They do know about it. They actually want to get in the program because they know after I tell them about it, they know that it's a benefit. It's not buying a car per se. It's a benefit.
All right, another question for you. I've looked at your figures, Jeff, and I'm really, really impressed with them. I know you've only started in January last year. First couple of months are always rough as you start the job. However, in the last sort of 10 months, you've been averaging over 12 orders a month. I mean, surely you must have had some sales experience to be able to start doing that sort of volume.
I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. Really, I have no prior experience. I think the salesman inside of me is finally able to come out. I'd say that I wanted to be a salesman all my life. I wanted to be a car salesman. I wanted to do something that would actually give me returns on my effort. I can say honestly, though, ever since I've gotten out of that BTC course in Okinawa, Jeff Close has really done a good job. He really did a great job explaining everything and letting me understand how the program works so that I can easily. It's a laid out diagram. He just laid everything out perfectly so that I could grab onto how the program works and how to deliver it to the customer. And because of that, and I'm following it to the T, and I never deviate from the training that he taught me, and I still use it to this day.
You don't have any show cars, really, do you?
We right now we have a Jeep Wrangler, and we have one motorcycle. We got rid of the other one. There was a local delivery that happened here in Japan. The guy's actually going to bring it back to the States with him. So, yeah, we're down to one Jeep Wrangler and one Harley Davidson 48. That's all we have on the lot right now. That's it.
I would imagine, based on the fact that you don't have a lot of show cars outside, you probably have to prospect a bit as well to really get people interested in the program, because surely they won't be coming running the door every day saying, I need a car. That just won't be the case.
The way I tell the customer, and I really do this, I'll tell them, we shoot a star way out in the sky. And my goal is to make that star come down in your lap when you get back to the States. So the way we can make that happen is to get the price down as much as we can by the time you get back to the States, where when that star comes to you, it's big, bright, and beautiful.
Let me ask you this. Do you see yourself up on the stage this year in the PI picking up a nice award for all your hard work?
You know, I would love to say that I could. I would love to say that the possibility does exist that I would be on that stage. But to me, the reward is people getting good news about what we do here every single day. It's not even about that.
Well, anyway, boys and girls, I want to say a big thank you to Jeff, who's absolutely done a phenomenal job guiding us through what he does day to day and what he credits his success for. And, you know, we all wish him the best of success in the future. So now it's time to play ISR in a reasonable price car. So if you watched obviously last month's episode, you'll know that I'm going to present 5 features of the vehicle. And then what I'm going to do is present what I think are going to be the hardest one and then make them gradually easier. Hopefully at some point you'll be able to guess what the vehicle is. Feature number 5, available with smart remote start. Number 4, it has the most advanced standard and available safety and security features than any other vehicle in its class. Number 3, standard 184 horsepower 2.4 litre Tiger Shark engine. Number 2, standard with a 9-speed automatic transmission. I know there's a few people now have got this. And then finally, number 1, available with a 3.6 litre Pentastar V6 engine. And of course, the vehicle is the 2015 Chrysler 200. Now, I'm sure this looks really easy when you do this at home. So let's try something a little bit different. Let's get somebody on the phone and then see how they do while I put them on the spot. So who am I going to pick on? I think let's give Connor Boyle a call in Grafenwehr, Germany, and see how he fares with this. I'm going to play a little game with you right now for $300. You're live on air.
Oh, gee. What's up?
We're going to start the game. I'm going to start with the harder questions to work to the easier ones, and each question will diminish in value. So if you can get it on the first one, you'll get $300 towards the company store, and we go on from there, okay? So I want you to guess the vehicle, okay? Number 5, available with smart remote start.
Okay.
$300. Can you guess that one? What vehicle it is?
Hint on Chrysler Ford?
Can I give you a hint? Do you want to move on to number 4?
Yeah, go on.
Number 4 for $250. The most advanced, standard, and available safety and security features than any other vehicle in its class.
Okay. Yeah, go on again.
Go on again. Number 3. This is for $200. Should
Yeah.
we get this one? Standard 184 horsepower Tiger Shark engine.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to take a guess.
Go on.
Chrysler 200.
Oh, you're the man. There's $200. Well done.
Cheers, bud. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I got it right. Nice.
Good man. Good man. So I'll send you your $200, man, so you can spend them in the company store.
Cheers, bud. I appreciate it.
All right, matey. Talk to you
All right,
soon.
later.
Okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye. So well done, Connor Boyle. Shows that fella really knows his stuff when it comes to his product knowledge. Speaking of product knowledge, one of the things that I always like to do was try to find 5 things I liked about the vehicle. And this would help with my conviction stage of the presentation. Because, of course, if I was convinced on the vehicle, it'd be very easy for me to convince a customer of the same thing. So what are the 5 things I like about the Chrysler 200? Well, first of all, critics agree is easily one of the best looking sedans in its class. Absolutely no doubt about this whatsoever. When I first saw the pictures of the Chrysler 200, it was a bit like the Jeep Cherokee. I was a little bit unsure. But when they started arriving on location, wow, it really is an extremely good looking vehicle. What people are saying about it is it's attractively styled inside and out. The Chrysler 200 doesn't shout, "I'm driving a family car." Number 2. Critics say that the 2015 Chrysler 200 has a top quality interior. And there's absolutely no doubt again about this. It has a very distinctive cabin, has really good materials that they use inside the vehicle, and it's a real showpiece as far as Chrysler is concerned. This has to be one of the best looking interiors that they have produced to date. Now the third thing I like about the Chrysler 200 is its European inspired handling. It really does get high marks for its composed ride and handling. If you pick up any of the reviews at all and read about it, that's one thing they hit upon. And then of course for our customers who really want something a little bit more sporty, the nice thing about this vehicle is they can upgrade to the 200S version, which gives them an even firmer suspension and it gives them even sharper handling. Number 4, it has 2 choices of engines that are available and both are mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. There's no other car in its class that comes with that many gears. Now in addition to that, for our customers who want that little bit more of a sportier edge, they can upgrade to the 200S version, which comes with paddle shift controls. Now the 2 engines are very nice, very highly rated. The first one is a 2.4 litre Tiger Shark engine and it has 184 horsepower. That mated to the 9-speed automatic transmission really gets the most out of this engine. In addition to that, it comes with very impressive fuel economy, 23 city, 36 highway. Another engine is a 3.6 litre Pentastar V6 engine. This is the most powerful engine in its class, and no other car like the Fusion, like the Camry, Honda Accord come close to this in horsepower. As you can see there, it's got 295 horsepower. And in addition to that, it still comes with very good fuel economy, 19 city and 32 highway. Finally, the Chrysler 200 comes with an impressive model lineup that would tick the box for most people that are shopping in this class. There truly is a Chrysler 200 for everybody. So for example, you can start with the LX model, which comes automatically with power windows, power door locks, keyless entry, and even comes with push button start. Then you can move up to the limited model, and then straight away you get the nice 5-inch touchscreen. You get the voice-activated phone connectivity. Then you got the 200S model, steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, a sport suspension, and you get that nice cloth leather trim seats. And then finally, for the people who really want the luxury, you can move into the 200C version, which has a Nappa leather interior, heated front seats, and rear air conditioning. Also worth a mention, which is very unique to this class, it's available with all-wheel drive. You can't get that in the Accord, you can't get that in the Camry. So you can order all-wheel drive in the 200C and the 200S model. And that's for people who really want to have that sure-footedness, whether they're driving on ice or snow, or they want to drive basically in bad climate conditions. The all-wheel drive version is a really good option for them. We're going to do a new feature of the show, and I'm hoping it's going to make this a little bit more interactive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose a question every month, and whoever basically sends in the best answer, I'm going to award them $100 that they can spend in the company store. So for this month's question, why can't we get as many Dodge Challenger Hellcats as we want? So if you think you know the answer to that, why we can't get as many Hellcats as we want or GT500s, then just drop me a line, and like I said, the best answer will be awarded automatically $100. Now our next guest on the show started as a full ISR way back on the 2nd of January 1998. And since then, he has delivered an incredible amount of metal. In fact, the last time I checked, it was 2,884 deliveries. That is absolutely mind-boggling. Now let's put that in perspective. If you were to stack each of those vehicles on top of each other, it would equal 5 times the height of the tallest building in the world. Now that is incredible. But in addition to that, they're just not units that he's delivered. Each delivery that he has done comes with its own little story about the person that he helped and how he solved their transportation needs. So without further ado, let's get Mr. Brian Huygens on the phone, who works in Landstuhl, Germany. Brian Huygens, how are you doing today?
All right, Paul, I'm great.
What is it you like about selling, Brian?
What I like the most is that every customer it's a new adventure, it's a new story. Different branches of services, they do different stuff, and it is also hearing their story, how they got here, where they came from, what they do, because I actually learned from it myself.
That's cool. So you have a genuine interest in people. That's what it sounds like to me. What is it that you dislike about selling?
There's not a whole lot I dislike about selling at all, but if there had to be one specific thing, it's actually when people buy a different product than ours after I've spent, a lot of time, as we do, with them. It actually negs me out a little bit. I take it quite personally.
I'd say most of us are the same. Most of us always remember the fish that got away, right?
Jesus, yeah, stop. It is true, though. It's true. I mean, you've been there yourself, it is.
Another good question for you. Are you a gearhead yourself, or do you feel that's actually necessary to be a successful ISR in this company?
Absolutely. Major gearhead. Love the stuff, love the cars. I know we say product knowledge isn't everything, it's not the whole sale, but, if you're very switched on about the product that you sell, of course, and, the vehicles in general, it installs confidence, it installs trust in your customers,
Next question for you. What does a typical workday look like for you? What do you normally do?
Well, as you know, I work on my own location. I have my own little base here at Landstuhl, right outside the military hospital. I'm literally next to the entrance of the hospital. My day starts at 10 and finishes at 6. So typically, I'm always in around 9:45 Lombardy time. And what I do every morning is I actually check our inventory, both stateside in Germany, to see if anything special might have popped up overnight, especially stateside, at 2013 with a big discount, or
right.
14. Which of course would give me a reason to, contact all my leads.
How's your follow-up?
I actually learned this from another salesperson who he's no longer with the company, but you remember Gordon, right? Gordon.
Yeah,
Dick?
Of course, absolutely.
He would tell them, he says, I can't give you a better price, but I can assure you I will give you the best possible service in the world. I will guide you every step of the way. I will keep you posted on your vehicle, build date, whereabouts, etc., etc. And it's actually quite funny because he told me that years ago, and I still use it to this day. And it's, most customers, they're used to your typical stateside dealer that, let's be honest, is rated as a bit of a scumbag. Because us car salespeople in the States, we don't have the best reputation.
I agree.
And I try and do everything I possibly can to always, even if I have a customer that kind of has that opinion of us, when we start, I always want to make sure that at the end of the day, they're happy with everything, and I always ask them that as well. I always ask them when I bring them up to their delivery center. I say, "Is there anything I've missed? Is there anything that that you want to know? Anything you feel that you're not happy with? Anything you're not comfortable with?" Very rarely get a negative response to that.
I assume that you get a lot of referral business. Would that be right?
I do, yeah, I do. Not only referral business so much. I get a lot of feedback business, which without trying to come across too cocky, makes me realize I obviously did something right, because I get feedback business here at Landstuhl that I sold cars to when I was in Vogaway, but the salesperson, because I'm the same way myself. I've driven the same brand vehicle since 2000, and I've dealt with 4 different salespeople, and I've bought the last 3 of them from the same salesperson, which is the last one, which was the one I was happiest with, because the other 3 are still in the business.
If you've got 2 products that are almost the same, customer will buy off the salesman they like all day long.
Of course, yeah. And a lot of times they don't even care about the price.
What do you think makes a successful ISR?
I can be very simple. I'm brief and short on that one. I think it's someone who's always willing to learn, who's willing to listen, open to criticism, believes in the product and is excited about the product, and positive attitude.
You're at the banquet and a young ISR comes up to you. They know you're Brian Huygens. They know obviously you're a legend in the company, and he comes up to you and says, could you give me one single tip that was going to make me successful next year? What would you give that ISR?
Again, pretty short and sweet. listen to the top guys, pick their brains, and most importantly of all, I think, avoid the naysayers, the neggheads.
So I know, Brian, this might be difficult for you. Out of 2,884 deliveries, it's probably 2,900 since we've last spoke, but whatever that number is right now at the moment on there, still remember what is your most memorable dealer delivery out of all of them?
It's quite easy, Paul. I think we all remember number one. And, number one for me was an interesting one, but it was a nice story. It was, I got here in November, on November 5th, and Roy picked me up because he was my trainer. And on November 6th, we started in Vogaway, the old location, and I was here about a week, and back then we had a tent show set up in Baumholder. And I had to basically go there and, work it after a week of training. He walks up to me and he asked me, he said, "Do you work here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And, his wife walks up and I see they're parked and the car's right next to the tent. It's an Acura, real nice car. And, he introduces himself. He says, "I'm Kareem." I say, "Hey, Kareem, how you doing?" "I'm Brian. I'm sorry, I'm quite new, blah, blah, blah." And long story short, he wanted a Cavalier C24. We had one in the tent because our setup was like a sport race sort of
right.
Storyline.
Yeah.
And we had one there, and I said, "What are you looking for? What color do you want?" He said, "That one right there." And I was like, "What? That one right there?" He said, "That one right there." And he looks at his wife, and she goes, "Mm-hmm." And I'm like, "All right, no problem." So we had the old purchase orders, as you remember back then. I did the deal with a bit of help from two other people that were there. And it's one that sticks. And interestingly enough, his daughter's driving the car still.
Brian, thanks very much. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, the amount of information you give us, and I really hope that the boys and girls at home will take some of this on board, and maybe they'll be the next Brian Huygens sometime in the future.
What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? Is it a monster? What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? Is it a monster?
So now it's time to do our feature on product knowledge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit what I did last month, which is really look at the North American Motor Show and see exactly what did take place. So the first vehicle we're going to look at is the 2017 Ford GT supercar. This is slated for production for next year. It, of course, will be a 17 model. It will feature a 7-speed paddle shift transmission. Of course, it will have a 3.5-litre EcoBoost engine that will put out over 600 horsepower. Ford will really go to town and will use all the modern construction methods in order to make this as lightweight as possible. And as you can see there, it's going to feature super lightweight carbon fibre and aluminum construction. And more importantly, this is going to be a real halo car for Ford. This is a way of Ford really showing our customers and everybody out there that they still got what it takes in order to make supercars. Now the next vehicle we're going to look at is something that's certainly going to be very interesting for a lot of our customers, and that is going to be the new SVT Raptor. It's slated for production for next year, so we're probably going to get it probably July, August of 2016. One of the big things you'll notice about it, it comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission. This is going to come available in a lot of F-150s in the future, and no doubt 10 speeds is going to make a massive difference, not just to performance but also fuel economy as well. As you can see, they've got rid of the V8 and they're going to offer it with an EcoBoost engine that has over 400 horsepower, and needless to say, with the lighter body aluminum construction, it's going to have better fuel efficiency, but also going to have much more performance as well. And another vehicle we're going to look at is the Lincoln MKX, which of course is a cousin to the Ford Edge. And again, this goes into production this year. It will feature a 6-speed automatic. It will be standard with paddle shift. Standard engine will be a 3.7 litre, putting out 300 horsepower. And of course, they'll have an optional 2.7 litre EcoBoost V6 with over 330 horsepower. The trim level in this vehicle are going to be absolutely amazing with the amount of equipment and features you can get inside them. And it's also going to be available with the Lincoln Black Label. Now, if you don't know what that is, I would advise you right now to get on Google and Google what Lincoln Black Label is all about. And if you check out the interior, this is something that Ford are really working hard on in order to make this vehicle live up to the luxury that people expect. And you can see here, it's absolutely gorgeous inside. They've created a very cocoon-like environment that is quiet, and it's also going to be very beautiful to the eye as well. Now, a vehicle that we will be able to get sooner while they're waiting for that F-150 Raptor is going to be the 2016 Ram Rebel. This is slated for production this year, so it'll probably come out as a 16. It features, of course, the 8-speed automatic, which is great. and it'll be available with a 3.6 litre V6 or a 5.7 litre Hemi. Now, what's the big difference between a Ram and a Ram Rebel? Well, first of all, it rides on big, massive 33-inch tyres. For the first time ever, Ram are going to add air suspension to this vehicle. We've seen that in the Grand Cherokee. We know exactly what that does. Now, it'll also have some unique bits on the outside, of course, to give that sort of off-road look. Blacked out grille, you've got tow hooks, you've got fog lamps, you've got the little snorkels there on the hood, and you got those smoky lights as well. And in addition to that, the interior will be a little bit different, and they've gone with a very stylish, special red trim interior. You might want to check out some pictures because it really does look good. So that's it for product knowledge right now. I'm looking forward to the next edition.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat?
Welcome back to What Great Salespeople Do. As I said earlier on, this is a great book, and I absolutely 100% recommend that you get out and buy yourself a copy of it. It's written by a gentleman by the name of Michael Bosworth. Today I'm going to try and cover at least 3 out of the 7 techniques that you can use that's going to help you inject more X factor into your presentation. So the first thing I'm going to cover is a thing called to their right. And as you can see there, the idea behind this is that when a prospect sits down, the prospect should be looking to you to their right, like you see in the diagram. Now the reason for this is something actually the FBI have developed. And what they do is when they've got a witness or they've got a suspect that they want to question, they position that person as to their right. And the reason for that is this allows then the right hemisphere to look at the person on the other side of the desk in a more favourable manner. Had they been sitting on the other side, believe it or not, you would look at them a little more analytical because, of course, you use the left hemisphere. And also, not only when you have prospects sitting on that side of the desk, it's also important, especially in our job where we use a lot of computer and we turn the monitor to the customer, that we also set that up on the right side. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is something called trust. And we all know this is extremely important in order to develop trust with your customer, because that is, of course, going to be one of the major positive reasons why they're going to buy from you. If you have a look at the graph that you see here, you can see this was done on a survey of people who buy. So it's a buyer's experience with sellers, what their view is when they go to buy things. And of course, the number one thing by a mile, and there's nothing new about this, is they don't trust the salesman. 39% of people don't trust the salesperson. Coming in at about 23%, they act like every other salesperson. So those two are probably very interlinked. And then finally, you can get into 18% lack follow-up, and the 20% don't understand my need. But most importantly, most customers do not trust salespeople. It's really as simple as that. This is nothing new, but this just helps to verify that. Now, if you go to look at the next part on it, what this is what do buyers want from their salespeople? Now, the first thing they want is a left hemisphere activity, and it's called competence. They simply want to be able to sit down with a salesperson who knows what they're doing, is able to push all the right buttons and make it happen. Now, what's the next thing they want? Well, the next thing they want is for someone to do that with a bit of character. So they want their salesperson to have a bit of character. So that's a right hemisphere activity. So it's not only just good enough that you know exactly what you want to do, literally the person wants to be entertained and taken care of by someone who they feel good about, which of course is a right hemisphere activity. When you combine those things together, the most important overriding thing they want from their salesperson is trust and credibility. Now, what is trust? Well, trust, of course, is a feeling. Trust leads to an emotional decision. And more importantly, people are influenced to change by people that they trust. Okay, I know this sounds like a bit of a no-brainer, but when you're purchasing something that's only like $10, you don't really have to trust the other person because the risk is very negligible. However, the larger the price of the item, the more trust they want with the person that they're engaging with. And there's no difference in, if you trust your boss. If you trust your boss and he comes in and he asks you to do something, generally you do it. If you don't trust him, guess what? You won't do anything for him. So how can we inject more trust into our presentation? Well, the first thing you can do, after you get to know the customer and you've done your common ground and your comfortable conversation, where you've established a bit of a rapport with the customer, you can actually talk about the program benefits. Because what's very unique about our program, and it's not, of course, just a simple retail program, which is like in the States, we really do show our customers a massive benefit on the things that we do. So you can pretty much sit down with any customer and say, okay, great, nice to meet you. Sit them down, get them nice and comfortable and say, look, before I give you a price on the car, let me tell you what's great about our program, how we differ from a stateside dealer. After you've gone through some of the nice program points, automatically you're going to change how the customer perceives you. 1 minute you're a salesperson, the next minute you'll be a sales consultant because they'll understand the benefits of the program and the protection mechanisms that, of course, are built into it. So then after that, when you get into the blueprinting and you have to start asking the question, you'll find that your customer will, of course, give you the information that you need in order to bring it to the next part of the sale. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is something that's called the hidden power of vulnerability. And what this talks about, being able to show your vulnerabilities, is sometimes a good thing and gives you a more human face. Unfortunately, a lot of salespeople are obviously sometimes trying to prove to everybody else that they are doing well, so they try to drive the flash car and try to show people that they have the nice suits and so on and so forth. And that can be, believe it or not, a little bit antagonizing. So the hidden power of vulnerability helps people to see you in the true light that you're in, as opposed to something that maybe you're masquerading in. So we're going to start with a very simple story. And it's about a 20-year veteran who works at the LAPD. And he basically gets called out anytime there's a hostage situation. So anyway, one night he gets called and he gets told to come down to a house where there's a guy named Robert, who's an alcoholic in his 50s, is holding his wife and children at gun. Robert, our alcoholic, shouts out the window at everybody, "Make a move on this house and I'll kill everybody inside." Sergeant Terrell answers back, "I can't imagine what you're going through. I've been in a situation where I felt there was no way out. I actually lost everything. I lost my job, I lost my home, my best friend, all at the same time. It may not be the situation you're in, but I remember how bad it was." So as you can see there, Sergeant Terrell didn't try to convince Robert to give up. Didn't threaten him, didn't tell him he had to come out right now or we're going to come in with guns blazing. He didn't even ask any questions. He just held his breath and he waited. And what did Robert say? "When was that?" And that's when Terrell knew he had an opening to connect with Robert. He told Robert a little about his darkest time in his life, and then he asked, "Do you want to tell me what's going on with you? It's okay if you don't, but I do want to know." Robert eventually told Terrell he didn't feel like he could face his kids after losing his job and getting kicked out of the house. He was angry with his wife. He believed the easiest way out would be to end it for all of them. And obviously, once Robert opened up, it was only minutes before Terrell was able to negotiate a surrender that saved the lives of Robert, his wife, and his kids. So what happened there? Well, this is all about the power of going first. So the thinking goes, if he's willing to open up and be vulnerable, then he must trust me. In which case, it's safe for me to open up and share something in return. And the reason for that is we've got this thing called mirror neurons inside us. It's something we developed over probably millions of years. And what it does is it allows us to mirror the people around us so we fit in more adequately. So more importantly, how can we apply that to what we do? Now, there's many, many different ways you can go about this. As I said earlier on, there's a tendency for salespeople, of course, to show off, to say, I'm doing really well, I'm driving a nice car, I make lots of money, and so on and so forth. I knew a salesman who did completely the opposite. He drove a nice car, and it was a brand new Audi A5, which is, of course, not a brand that we sell. And he bought it before he was appointed by us. And I used to say to him, "Listen, can you please cart the car off the lot? It doesn't say a lot about, of course, you believe in the brand and so on and so forth." So he told me what he does every time when he's selling the car. If a customer asks him what he drives, instead of lying about what he drives, he simply tells them the truth. He's driving a lovely Audi A5. And it was something he was very, very proud that he was able to save up the money, have a decent down payment, and make what he thought was going to be a reasonable payment per month on it. And it was very, very exciting to be driving a car like that. And within 3, 4, 5 car payments of €900 a month, they suddenly start to realize this thing is very, very expensive. And of course, the shiny new toy and all the benefits he thought it would bring started to wear off. And one of the things he would point out to his customers was he would tell them that story. And that story then allowed him to show a more human side, that he was vulnerable, that he was prone to make mistakes. And even though it sounded like a great idea at the time, and he was emotionally caught up in it, he realizes after the fact that this may not be the right decision for him to buy a car that he truly couldn't afford. And by going first and showing his vulnerability to his customers would open up to him, and more importantly would see him for the human that he truly was. Now, where else could you use it? If you're a brand new salesperson, you can put your hands up in the air and you can say to the customer and say, "Hey, look, I'm brand new. I don't know anything about this job. I'm doing my best. If I miss anything, please let me know." And by doing that, again, it shows your vulnerability. And the other person on the other side of the desk is logically going to be able to say, "Okay, this person's new, he can't rip me off," or "This person's new, and I understand why he's not being able to give me all the information, but I'll help him along. I'll give him my business." And that's why it's important, by going first and showing people your vulnerability, that they will then be more obligated to fall into line with it as well. So what's very important when you're going forward and showing your vulnerabilities, you're talking about mistakes that you've made and, of course, the lessons that you've learned from it. So next month, before we're all old and grey, I'm going to make sure I'm going to finish the final part of this presentation. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Till next time. That's it for Radio ISR. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to the next time.